You're listening to episode number 66 of the She Who Dares podcast.
Hey, Bobbi, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh my gosh, Brandee, thank you. I'm super excited to be here on this fabulous Monday.
Yes, it's so fun. All right. So you are a wealth of knowledge, Bobbi. I'm so glad that I got to meet you this year, or meet you, I guess,
Yeah.
right? We've never met in person.
Right.
But you are such a wealth of knowledge to the wedding industry. And so I cannot wait to hear all that you're going to share with us today. But can you just kind of give us an idea of where you started and who you are?
Oh, sure. And well, before I begin, you're a breath of fresh air in this
so
podcast world. So we need you doing more what you're doing. And the wedding industry is thrilled to have you there in Orlando. And you're going to do good things nationwide.
Oh,
but I am Bobbi Brinkman, and I started in this industry 40 years ago. Back in the day when we had big cameras, actually I had to put film in the camera, and they were big and they were heavy, and when there weren't that many females in the industry. So I started off as a sports photographer, little known fact, covered the NHL and Major League Baseball, collegiate and pro. And actually through all of that, people started trusting me and saying, can you do weddings? And, you follow us in the daytime, our private lives. So it's a good way to get high end clients, but also comes with a lot of responsibility and extra pressure. Yeah. So I fell in love with the story. I tell everybody all the time that photography chose me, the medium that it is, the power that it has. I always say our superpower is as photographers that we get to capture with historians. So we get to capture and freeze these moments. And that moment is going to be different to everybody. And the value and the privilege that is something I never take for granted. And why I loved the wedding industry is because it's everybody's story. I get to tell a small chapter in somebody's lives that becomes priceless. It's one of the only services in the wedding industry on a wedding day that I tell everybody goes up in value. Sadly, as we all know, in a wedding and a wedding photo, somebody will pass away. And the minute that happens, that photo becomes more priceless. So I'm very privileged to be in this industry, to be behind the camera, telling, stories in the most authentic moments. And 40 years, the camera side and the biz side, and now I do a little bit of coaching and education,
right?
Just because I don't want this to go away. I don't want our craft to diminish to cell phones. I want it to still have impact, and I want people to still print photos. And I think it's a craft that we need to nurture and keep hold of.
I love the way that you described photography. I've never heard it described that way before, that it goes up in value. And I think that that's such an interesting way to describe what you do. And so I hope that photographers listening, and really even planners now, as I'm thinking about how I pitch certain photographers to my clients, we always say, like, this is the perfect photographer for you, because we really trust certain people,
Right.
and their style. I love that I can say to them, listen, this is going to increase in value. So it's really such an important piece of your wedding day.
Right. And you have to pause, and planners, you get to design all these wonderful details, and you get to design this wonderful flow of the day. But we, as videographers and photographers, we're the historians.
Yes.
We're covering who, we're covering where, we're covering what, and the why is that couple. And so we also are entrusted with capturing what you do, all your designs. We're capturing the florist work. We're capturing the dress designer. So the photographers hold that whole day in their hand. And think about it, that building could be dilapidated. You may get married here, and 5 years later, the building's not there. The outside may look different. We all know that hairstyles, clothing changes. So what we do has an impact on the day, who that was there. And those are your VIPs. You're one of my favorite part of the wedding day, and it truly comes from being on this side of the camera, is when a bride or a groom, whatever couple is walking down the aisle, I always try to tell them in the back, don't rush this. I always do hashtag don't rush this walk, because while whoever is walking you down has waited a lifetime, maybe it's a stepfather, maybe it's a brother, whoever has that privilege, when you're taking that walk, everybody's looking at you, but what they're seeing is you as a little girl or the little boy. Oh, that first home run. Oh, I remember when you had your first horseback ride. All the way to when you get to that ceremony and you're thinking, I just got to get down here, and I'm looking at all these people. But the people that are sitting there watching you say I do, it's a flood of a slideshow of your history of your life.
Yeah.
And everything that you've been through and all those things. So when we take that moment and freeze it, when you go back and look at it, you see, oh, look at Aunt Mary, look at Aunt Susie. And Aunt Susie and Aunt Mary are looking at it, they're going, oh, I'm so glad I was alive to watch this. I remember when you were a little girl putting on your mom's clothes.
Yeah.
So that's what a photo can do. And that's why it increases as it goes and the years go by, is because everything changes in that photo. And the power of that photo is to remind you that you're loved, that somebody cared about you. And I always say, get a big photo of yourself, canvas, whatever, and hang it in your home. So then on those days that you're arguing or you're annoyed, you walk by it and you remember, on this day, look what you said to each other and you're loved. And it's the same way when somebody passes away, you pick up that photo and you can just feel the power in that photo of that grandmother or that grandfather. And as an industry person, as a planner, you can look back and go, man, look what I knew what I was doing. Look, I'm so glad everything I created, my design, it worked for that couple.
Yeah.
It was the match. And you guys as planners, look at the team you assembled. Everything on this day reflected this couple. And that's the power of being in this industry, is listening, and matching like vendors, so that the day does go smoothly, so that our couples can fully be present and embrace the day and not go, where'd my day go? They get to enjoy it and be part of it. And then they have these photos to look back on it. And they'll each look at that photo and think differently about something. And again, that's just the power of photography.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Bobbi, as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking, there's a whole different way that I can speak to my brides and my grooms about photography. And a lot of them, especially our clients at Blush, do really value photography, but some people are like, I don't know. I was that bride. I was like, I don't care about the photographer, like whoever. And can I tell you, 16 years later, I for sure regret that choice. I mean, for sure I do. They're not just providing photographs. They're providing moments and a story and memories and emotions and feelings for years and years and years to come. So I just really love the way that you describe that. I think that's really cool.
Well, and it also helps them too. It's like, let's face it, it's an investment to get married.
For sure.
You invested $3,000 in florals. Don't you want to see some of them in photos? But I put the impact on people. And I believe that if you've created as a planner a really unique design tables should be photographed, but the impact for me is the couple standing with you next to that table.
Yes.
Makes it all the more moving. And I do think that, especially in this day and age, everybody thinks, oh, my friend has a cell phone. Let your friend just be your friend. Let's face it, your friends don't do this every weekend. Yeah. You and I know behind the scenes of what can happen. The couple, our job is to never let the couple know anything was going haywire or crazy. Your friend will freak out the minute something happens. Yep. So this is the one time where I say, let your friends be your friends.
Okay, so this is exciting. I want you to tell us a little bit about what starting your business 40 years ago was like.
Well, it's the same as now. Scary as all HELL. I was 16 and I got published in the paper, and I took a photo. It was a swimming photo, and I made the front above the fold.
Okay.
And that was my foray into the sports. And they're like, you got something here. And the reason I got published wasn't what it was a totally in focus swimming photos, but it was the emotion and the reaction of what was happening. Okay. That's what weddings are. And yes. I knew that in photography, that could be a business. So I had to know that I knew how to do this. So I'm going to hang a sign up. And I went to my parents and said, hey, we have a shed in the backyard. I'm just going to call that my office. I put a dark room, everything in there. Okay, great. I didn't need a big office, didn't have anybody coming. So I started. So I hung my shingle and officially opened my door at the IRS because my dad was like, you will do it the right way. Let's go get you a license. Right. And he had to remember, I didn't get a loan, but he had to go with me and say, hey, I backed this business. It's on their property. So literally, in 1981, I was ready to go and started hustling. Now I can tell you a lot like now, late hours. Instead of doing editing on the computer, I was counting negatives. Oh, okay. I would give the film back. And I learned budgets real fast. I remember I went to, I'll go ahead and say it. I went to Kmart and I knocked on Kmart's door and I said, you guys have this really crappy Santa and you have really crappy photos. What if I was to use your Santa, but come up with a really cool backdrop and I'll take photos and then people can go home with it right now. Like I will bring a really good Polaroid in. And they're like, nope, make a presentation. So I made the presentation and I said, but I don't want to use Polaroids. What I want to do is I'm going to take a picture, and it was a roll of film back then for those listening, rolls of film, I 35 millimeter. Well, Kmart had a photo lab, right?
Yes.
So I said, what I'll do is I'll take the photos. we'll walk them over to your photo lab, and then the people can come pick up at the photo lab. And if you want to sell greeting card or an ornament or something, do that. So they bought the idea. The very first weekend that I did it, I was sitting at my kitchen table with my dad, and he came back and he goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Well, I'm $45 in the hole because my processing of the film costs more than what I charged." He goes, "Okay. What are we going to do about this?" I'm like, "Well, I have to raise my prices." And he's like, "Right. But in the meantime, I need to borrow $45 because I can't pay for this." He's like, "All right, lesson learned." So that lesson 40 years ago still holds true now.
Yes.
We easily as business owners go, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." And we come up with the solution, but did we make money?
Correct.
And while you and I are all about helping and serving, it's okay to serve with a purpose and be profitable. I did not open my studio where I went and got a brick and mortar until, 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And, stayed in a studio brick and mortar until 5 years ago. And now I don't have any overhead. But I did that for the majority of my career because I knew I needed to have a place for people to come. I wanted to show images. I wanted to shoot. I knew I had to do more than just wedding photography to build a career at that time when I was starting out. And had I had social media and everything, I probably could have done it faster, but I don't know I would have built it any stronger. I think because I learned how to do it and trust, you're just going to have to trust your gut and go out and do this. I was able to have a 1-800 number in the yellow pages and hope that people called me, and once I got into the store, my studio, we had things in the window, wedding photography on sale.
Yeah.
It got so funny that the road that we had it on, people would come by every season and go, "Well, can't wait to see the new seasonal play." And people would honk and wave. I think I miss that now. I do miss that small community type vibe. But if you're a business owner now, you can talk to anybody. But I think you have to be so much more careful. I think people are afraid to make mistakes. Or back then, I could screw up on that kitchen table and the only person who knew was my dad. Nobody else.
Well, I think it's funny that you say that. Really interesting, because I didn't start my business till 2007, which I am always like, oh my gosh, that sounds so long ago now.
Right.
But it was before social media, which really definitely makes me sound older. But yes, but Facebook only existed on college campuses, and there definitely was no Instagram or anything like that. And I said, so 4 years ago, we opened a venue, and I remember bawling hysterically to my husband. And I said, when we started Blush, no one was watching because there was no social media. I didn't have an audience. There was nothing. I could fail over and over and over again, and no one would ever know until I succeeded.
Right.
Now it's out there for everyone to see. Like if I fail and I have to try again, everyone will see. And the pressure was so overwhelming. So for these new businesses that are starting, I totally feel you. And exactly what you just said, Bobbi, is so true. I think when you're starting a new business, now everyone's watching because you have to put yourself out there or you're not going to succeed. I mean, like you did, you tell your friends, you tell your family.
Yep.
Right? You set up a shop.
Like you, Brandee, you have this amazing presence on Instagram. So for all the new people that are listening, while we can fail and nobody sees us, now if you guys don't post one day, oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's going on? Oh, is something okay? God forbid you don't post for 3 days and you didn't say you're taking a social media break. People are like, "Are you still open?" And as the venues, I hear this a lot of times from people that have brick and mortars. "Hey, I see it in feeds. People that I follow. Are you still open? I called today. You didn't answer your phone." What is that? I mean, that's the pressure that social media is putting on people. It's like, and yet you and I both know that I say all the time, there's more to life than those 9 squares.
Yep.
Those 9 squares are not defining your success or your failures.
Yeah.
They're just real and authentic. And I'm very real on there. If I'm struggling, I say I'm struggling. You do a good job, and that's what I mean. You're one of those people that you're definitely the Instagram role model. And this industry can learn so much from the things that you're teaching, and like your new Reels class. That is, I mean, I can't wait to dive into that. I told you, because I'm pushing 60, honey. I still got an iPhone 7 here, So let's be real. So but it's like we have to continue to learn.
Yep.
And as business owners, the first step was scary. And I think instinctively, as entrepreneurs, we want to take those risks. And now that more people are watching, these young entrepreneurs, I applaud them every day because they are not afraid to show up. They don't care that they show up. They don't share that they fall down. They keep going. And I know that I would have built it differently, but I'm going to tell you, and I use the word success only for my definition of that I'm still here 40 years later, not about the money in my bank account. I believe to the core, even now in 2020, going to 2021, you have to build these relationships. You have to have people that you trust and work with. You got to keep your inner circle.
So true.
If you want to know where you're going to be in 3 and 5 years, see who you're hanging around with, the 3 or 5 people you're hanging around with. I firmly believe that, because you need to have people around there say, hey, you know what, you tripped, but I'm right here to help you and go along. Where on social media, we're so afraid about what it looks like. And guys, you know, your likes and followers are not going to pay your bills.
No.
You know, I do not have 80,000. I don't even have the swipe up feature.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's not my goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to serve my clients who want photography and value photography and try to do it 15 to 20 weekends a year. That's then I'm successful when they keep calling me on the phone, not by how many likes I have, how many followers, but when my phone keeps ringing 40 years later, and I say this with a little bit of pride, I'm doing something right. And that's what your listeners can do too.
Yeah.
Don't stop being afraid to try and be yourself. If you stumble, you stumble. Own it and move on. Own your BS and move on and learn. But never forget that service first and self second. And this industry, our wedding industry, gets so hung up on, well, I have to have a big budget, or I only want to work with this ideal avatar or this ideal client. Any client that comes to you and values what you do is an ideal client. And their budget does not define your success. As you guys continue to teach everybody in social media, you're upping the game, you're helping everybody improve, but you're still also showing that in order to do these reels and everything, you have to have that relationship with that venue and with the other vendors in order to do it, because that team of creatives on that day makes that reel all the better. And then as a group and individually, your business will soar.
Yeah. And I love, well, one, you say this with a little bit of pride. I think you should say that with a ton of pride, because you're 100% right. You know, the fact that your phone is still ringing 40 years later is incredible. And you don't have to measure your success by what Instagram says. And I hope that I hope that all the listeners are kind of hearing this right now, but especially for the new entrepreneurs or those out there who are looking at, you know, my company or Bobbi's company, and they're like, gosh, you know, I want to be like that. Concentrate on what's happening in your company right now and think about, okay, what is success in 6 months? What is success in 1 year? Because it's really, you can get wrapped up in that person has 10,000 followers. That person has 8,000 followers. Guess what? How many people are calling them to do weddings? And that's at the end of the day, they may be doing great, but they may not. Instagram is it's very shiny and it's exciting. And I always say, listen, I love social media. I do. I think that it gets a bad rap, and I love to say all the bright and shiny things about it. Like, we get to advertise for free on it. But it is a vanity metric. No matter how many followers I have, if they're not turning into clients, it's completely in vain. So really concentrate on what makes you unique. How are you showing up for your clients? You know, what are you providing for them? And I think so much of what Bobbi has said here is like, I mean, my mind is blown. Like, I'm going to go back and listen to this, Bobbi, because I love the way you describe what you do. You are not a photographer. You're so much more than that. And as a planner, you know, for anybody else listening that maybe isn't a photographer, for a planner, when you're trying to describe the same thing, it's like, you want to provide an over-the-top wow experience for your brides and grooms, for your couples. But at the end of the day, it's what their guests are going to say when they left, what they felt when they walked away. It's not about the flowers or the music or the table linens. It's about the overall, how did they feel? How did all of those details come together to make the feeling that the bride and groom, whether that's a party atmosphere or romantic and mingly, you know, what did that guest walk away feeling from that story?
The experience that a guest attended on your love story day. What did your guest, what did all the vendors that you selected, what role did they play that delivered those unbelievable moments, those memorable moments, and that they walked away with an experience? And for the photographers listening in, I need to stress, and I can't stress enough, it is really not about you. I mean, I can take this amazing epic photo.
Please say that one more time.
Yes. For those in the back row, Don't be the rock star photographer. Be the photographer that your client needs.
Yes.
Be the photographer that your vendor team needs. Blend in, document the day as it unfolds. We're storytellers. That's our job.
Yeah.
And so if your job is, hey, I have the signature print, the signature style photo, and your couple wants to do that, then that's your couple. Your couple will be like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. But try to include the vendor team in every photo, especially now with social media. And I agree 100% with Brandee that it will help your business grow. But I also want you to understand that if it went away, would your business still grow?
Yep.
Could you still be here? And if you try to grab photos throughout the day of the vendor team and you put them in front of the camera so that there's a face to what they did, that will help their business. That helps solidify you for all those young entrepreneurs. You want to solidify yourself as an expert, show that you work as a team.
Yes.
Show that here's all the people today that created this and the smiles and the faces. And you want to go back and talk about reviews. When you do that, it's very hard for a couple to not write a review and see everybody on that team. One photo of the team. And if I have to do it sometimes throughout the day, because like sometimes the planners leave before the end or the band, and I include those into the wedding gallery with the couples, because I want the couples to remember, here's the people that served you and served you well and served you from the heart. We've served them first. So when we serve them and we ask for a sale or a testimonial, there's no reason they're not going to give it to you because we've provided that. So when social media goes away, will your business still be here? Live on your business the way that you would live your business without social media and continue to teach your social media. Show the ups, shows the downs, and don't be real on there and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and teach a little bit. Everybody, once you do a wedding, you're an expert on that particular day. No wedding's the same. That's why contracts are so crazy. It's the Susie clause. The
You're
Mark
only
clause.
as good as your last wedding. Yep.
And so that's the key. So young entrepreneurs is put in the time and do the work. And then share those experiences. And then your couples that are booking you on Instagram will see, okay, you work with that kind of couple. Oh my gosh, you worked at that venue. And don't get hung up on, I want to be working at that venue. What do I have to do? Put the time in. That if you put the time in, somebody will call you and say, I'm getting married at XYZ.
Yep.
You shouldn't call XYZ and say, I want to be on your preferred vendor list. They don't know you. Please do not do that. Exactly. Put the time in and learn. Exactly. And planners, take planners to coffee, guys. Ask, how can I help you as a photographer? How can I help you, Brandee? Do whatever you need to do. That's going to go so much further than a paid advertisement. And then guess what, guys? Brandee will teach you that this is now a reel. This is now a story. I went to coffee with so-and-so and we brainstormed about the upcoming wedding season and what we can't wait for Orlando to be working for. You have content built in by the relationships that you build. And don't forget that that content and those relationships will make you shine on social media. But guess what, guys? If social media goes away, that relationship will still help you build your business.
100%. And I always like to say too, the people that I want to surround myself with are the people who are going to speak very highly of me when I'm not in the room, because we all know that the wedding industry can be challenging. Any industry can be challenging. And I always want my vendor partners, the people that I connect with to have my back, just like I have theirs. And I think that building that network is imperative. And as planners, my team, I've said this many, many times, I think one of the reasons we're so successful at Blush is because we consider our vendors as important as the bride and groom on wedding day. And that's really because they've been hired to do a specific job, and we need to make sure they have everything they need that they've requested, that even we can think of that they may need. We need to make sure that they have that so that the whole thing can be flawless. Because if one piece falls, it all falls, right? And with photography, I think hearing your advice to photographers, I know for a fact, I've had photographers do this to me before. They want to work with us more. They got hired on a wedding that we're on. They take pictures of my team or details behind the scenes, and they might send me 4 or 5 pictures after the wedding and say, hey, I thought you might like these for your marketing. And I'm like, wait, I need to work with you more. Like, that made my day. And now I'm going to put those up on my social media. I'm going to credit you. I just think it's so easy
so much easier now than before, because before I would have to send you a print and you would never be able to share the print unless you took an ad out somewhere. But
true.
Anybody that follows you, anybody that follows you or Blush knows that social media is key to your marketing. Why would I not want to get to you through that medium.
Yes.
Why would I not want to get? And, you know, I like to say, these are my preferred professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I have vendors.
Yep.
These are my preferred professionals.
These are my people.
And I know people reach out to Blush and say, I want to do, because all the things that you do right, they want to be part of. But that's, and when I want young entrepreneurs and new wedding industry people, and I want couples that are listening too, understand that when we have somebody and we suggest somebody and we refer somebody is because we know that they're going to treat you the same way we treat you.
Yes.
And that's impeccable. When you go bring an outside person in and we don't know, it's hard for us to say, well, this is the cohesive look or this is the cohesive flow. And I don't want a couple to go, well, I really want this person. And then that one person sinks the whole ship. We can rise everybody up. And it's, and you know, when you get your Blush team out there and people are part of it, people just, okay, Blush, this is the level of expertise and service that's coming. I don't have to question anything about the value, anything about what their fees are, anything about the investment, because we know we're getting this level and beyond. So reaching out to you as a newbie isn't going to do me any good, because I'm going to set my own stuff up for failure because I'm not there yet. So let me maybe call and say, hey, can I come along, or can I come and see, or can I do something? But to just start going out, and, you know, photographers especially, you're going to take bad photos. I don't care if you're in it for a year or 4 years. You're not going to all be perfect. And, you know, wedding days aren't perfect. Human beings are involved. Nothing's perfect any other day. Why on this day? And it's not the best day ever. I'm going to break that phrase right now. It's a really good damn day when you wake up the next day and the next day and the next day. You know, there's going to be a lot of more best days coming. But on this day, surround yourself with people who believe in your vision and believe in you and are there to serve you and not themselves. We're all going to grow businesses by being part of your wedding day. That's a given. We're in business. But to do it where you can embrace your day and be part of your day, and the vendors get to leave going, oh my gosh, what a great day. If you go home from a wedding and driving in the car, pulling your hair out, frustrated, you book the wrong client and you have the wrong team. When you go, oh my gosh, I should have took one more photo, or I could have done this, you still left it on the field. You left and you gave it your all. And when you get to go home and say, my gosh, this is exactly why I love working with this team. That's the best advice I can give you. Relationships, build it, and then use the social media with those relationships to continue building it. Because the more that they see you on Blush's website or anything Brandee's doing, couple will say to me when I say, here's this DJ or whatever, oh, I see Bobbi works with that DJ all the time. Right off the bat, that DJ's got a plug.
People say that to us all the time when they book us. They'll say, now I know you always work with so-and-so florist or so-and-so photographer. And I'm like, we do. And we always tell our brides too, you know, if there's somebody you're passionate about working with, let's have a conversation. We're not going to force you to work with our people. But one of the reasons you hire us is so that we can assemble a vendor team that will be seamless throughout the day. And I know my energy on wedding day, and when I wake up in the morning and I know I'm going to a wedding that has all of my vendor team, I don't even, it's just so much simpler.
You get to have the fun part because the work part is done. Now you just, and I hate to use the word execute, but really you get to execute as the team leader. Hey guys, for all year or 2 years, we've planned all this. Here's the day. And you know that the DJ is going to set up over there. You know, the cake person is going to come. So you get to walk around and you get to be the little sprinkle and the confetti on all of us. And you're doing the shouting and you're helping us all while we do our jobs and you're overseeing it. I tell all my couples, wedding planner is the team leader. She'll listen to me. He or she will listen to me and they will get my timeline for Bobbi, preferred sunset, prefer whatever. And they'll incorporate it in and they'll give you the time for the photos that you want to take. And a good planner that you trust and we work with often say, Bobbi shows up always an hour early. She doesn't bill you for it. And she likes to pop out and do this. They know this about me. And so what happens is you get all the photos that you want and they weren't rushed because we might've went inside and sat and then we pop out for photos and it's everybody's incorporated. So anybody that wants to come in this industry and wants to have a sustainable career, build the foundations of your relationships. And you may outlive those relationships. You may stay open in those, but start and work with like-minded vendors and professionals that believe and put the client first, but still allow you to make a profit and they understand it's a business and you will grow and grow and grow together. and really be unstoppable and have joy doing it. And when you have joy, you're going to bring joy to that experience for your couple.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I think one of the really cool things that you said too, Bobbi, is, when you're starting to try to build relationships, take planners out for coffee, send those photographs, refer them. I think this is a really big one. People always say to us, how do I get on your list? And I'm like, well, I have to work with you first. And they're like, well, if I'm not on your list, how do I work with you? And I'm like, here's the thing. You could refer one of your clients to us. And now we're working together, and now I can see your work. I can see, especially with photographers, I feel like there's, I can see your gallery, but I don't know what you were working with. If it was a stunning wedding and you just took the pictures, great. But what are you doing with a wedding that—
well, you might have been a big diva doing it. You could have been the Vendorzilla instead of the Bridezilla. And trust me, you and I have been long enough.
Oh,
you guys in the wedding industry, if you've been in the wedding industry for 1 year, that really equates to 7 years in the wedding industry. So if you've been in the business for 7 years, you've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Because that's the deal. A florist can do a beautiful display, but if you were hanging that and you were effing everybody and dropping the F-bombs and yelling, you know what? That is too much energy for me.
Don't need it.
I want to be in a positive, lift me up. So while I deliver a great product and it's beautiful, my gosh, the ride getting there was so bumpy, I want it off, right? That's the key. And I'm glad you said that, because that's the experience of working with you, is the experience and the energy you'll bring that client. And that's
I need
to
know what that is.
Exactly.
And you know what? The reason I also find that very important is, where you are in Georgia, Bobbi, also where I am, most of our venues are outdoors.
Yep.
And that means we have to deal with weather. And I need to know that when all of the pressure and 46 eyeballs are staring at me to ask me what we're doing about the weather that's coming, that I've got a team of vendors that are going to have my back no matter what the decision is that I made. And when I have a diva
100%
DJ or a diva, photographer, I can't take it. I'm like, no, we're all here for this bride, not for you. So I need to know what you need from me, and I'll try to make it happen, but I don't need a diva right now. And I know that kind of sounds cocky. It's not meant to be. It's just that the planner is, all eyes are on the planner. The bride who's crying, the mother of the bride who's begging you to try to keep it outside, the groom who's like, just tell me what I need to do. And then all the vendors, and they're all just staring at you like, make a decision. So you really do need to have a team.
Well, we want a wedding planner, so we don't have, we want a wedding planner so we don't have to make those decisions.
Yes.
The couple hires a wedding planner so they don't have to make the decisions. So any other day, who cares? But oh my God, there's a hurricane coming or it's raining. Guess what? It's all on you.
It's all on the planner.
And that's the key. Because, and the thing is, and vendors that are listening, that's why when planners ask you, and I want to put this out there right now, when you guys get so annoyed, because when I'm speaking at other summits, especially in a group of photographers, and it's to trash the vendor,
trash the planner.
You get mad when they ask these questions, but she needs to ask the questions. If there's sprinkles and you have a drum set, are you okay with getting it wet? If you're a musician and you have a $50,000 guitar made from whatever wood from Hawaii, will you stand out in the humidity? Photographers, we have all of this equipment. I'm not going to stand outside and get electrocuted on my metal camera. So when they ask these questions, be honest. I will not stand outside if it rains. That's all she needs to know. Then when she's making the plan, she knows that, okay, my photographer has to stand underneath this section to do this. And those questions that you ask your couples, the more information you get from your couples, the better you can serve them. And I promise you, if you make your questionnaires fun, when they send it back to you and right off the bat says, oh my gosh, this was fun, you put some things in there that lets them talk about themselves a little bit and challenge them. Okay, who's going to cry at the first Hallmark movie? Or who's going to be the first one? Bridesmaids or groomsmen are going to be the first person to embarrass themselves. If you add those into your questionnaire, followed by, and is there anything I need to know about family drama? Please.
Oh my gosh.
Did so-and-so just get out of prison about blah, blah, blah? When you mix those in with those questions about who's going to, cry at the movie.
Yeah.
Then they realize, okay, you're trying to get to know me.
Yeah.
And I get to tell you a little bit more about me, and we're better equipped. So then when you share that I share mine with the planners and say, hey, look, by the way, when I said, what's the most important thing that you're looking for on the day, or what's your least favorite? And they write, just spending time with my family and friends. I know. And then I can say to the planner, in case they didn't tell you this, we need to have push time built in there. Or when you
Yes.
write, not spending 85 hours taking family photos, I know that I'm going to be done in 10.
Yep.
You know, but it's those kind of things. And that goes back to, regardless of when you started your business,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take care of yourself. What is it that you need to serve your clients and to remain in business?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you need? And yes, will you lose some money on some jobs? Right. But the lessons that you learn will be huge.
Yeah.
I take with me all the time, every time I do a proposal, that scene of the kitchen table going, how did I mess this up?
Yeah.
Was I knew, man, I made more money than any of my friends who were working at McDonald's. I made more money on a weekend than all my friends made all month long, but I was short $45.
Right.
So it changed it. So every time I send a proposal out, 40 years later, I remember that kitchen table with my dad going, well, what are you going to do? You got to either cut back on what you're doing or you got to raise your prices. And I couldn't cut back that cost because that was a built-in cost with Kmart.
Correct.
So I had to charge more, or the deal that I made, or the negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you sit down and build your business, know that when you have this team around you and these other entrepreneurs around you, that if things get hard, because of the relationship, you can go, hey, Brandee, man, I'm struggling. If you can throw me a wedding, wedding, I just need something.
Yes.
Or Brandee may say, I need headshots, or I need something. You can have that honest opinion and they know, or it's, you know what, I'm having trouble with this bride. I can't get past it. I know at the beginning it was great. Brandee can step in, or your planner can step in and go, hey, I talked to them. It's just nerves, Bobbi. It's nothing about you. It's nothing. Just, you know, keep going, moving forward. You can define your success by, you know, I'm never one to teach somebody how to get 6 figures or 7 figures. I want people to do this career because it makes them happy. And they come from a place of service. And it's a privilege every weekend. I mean, we're not solving cancer. We're not doing the COVID, you know, vaccine. But you know what? We're giving people, whether you're a wedding planner or a florist, for that 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 50 people, 500 people, they've gathered. And for that short amount of time, listeners, they forgot that they may be losing their job next week, or that their grandmother has cancer, or that I have to go back and find a job. For that short amount of time, they are gathered to celebrate somebody that they love, that they appreciate. And if you're coming here to Georgia or Florida, you get to beach view, or if you get a mountain view, but you get away from what's going on. And even right now with all the political stuff that's been going on at weddings, I still see the difference. I still see people go, oh, people. Now people want to hug and people want to get back together. And side note here, photographers, videographers, if you don't think you were valued before, you are so needed now, because now people want pictures of them with people. They need something to hold on to instead of the Zoom thing. So for that day at a wedding, no matter what genre you're in or what service part of the wedding you do, you have provided a moment in time. You've given them a memory of, oh, I remember the smell of that flowers. Or, oh my gosh, that food that day. I remember so-and-so's wedding because of the dancing. And so-and-so would all just looked happy. And they looked happy because they had a team of vendors they trusted, that they weren't worried about how much money they spent with you, because they knew that you were hired to do the job. And that privilege that we have to witness for that day, all the struggles these people went through, we don't know everything about them. Remember, guys, we're all, for the most part, strangers invited to inside a personal life. We see the parents fighting. We see the sibling fightings. Somebody just lost their dog. That person survived cancer. When somebody says, Bobbi, that's my grandmother dying of cancer, quietly tell me, because I ask those questions. I want to make sure I have plenty non-interface photos. That privilege that we all have on that day, we're giving people some part of their family history. And as wedding industry professionals, we're in the business of love, and that love is service. And we share our talents and we share our blessings. And at the end of the day, when a couple says thank you, you are successful. You know, money in the bank is great. Paying your bills is great. But can do this, the honor and privilege to do this for 40 years, for 10 years, for 5 years, you know, you gathered people together and they celebrated, maybe for the last time. You don't know. But look what you did. Your flowers, your cake, your food, your music, brought everybody together, and it took them away from whatever was bothering them for that short period of time. And it made them a family and a group of friends. There's very few industries and jobs that allow somebody to do that. And I think sometimes we forget that, oh, I got to have this big wedding, or I don't have a celebrity wedding, or that wedding's at the Knights of Columbus. That wedding at the Knights of Columbus be $1 million wedding. Does it matter? Your job is to make these people a memorable and deliver them an experience. And they will continue to refer you with social media, without social media. When you do your job and you do it from the right place, that will allow you an amazing career in this industry.
Gosh, Bobbi, I literally got goosebumps when you were talking, and I thought, I'm going to have my staff listen to this episode and say, just a reminder as we're going out of one of the craziest years ever in our history, right? Whether it was a great year for you or not so great year, it was crazy for everyone. and as we're just starting a new year, I just listen to that. Listen to what Bobbi just said. I mean, this is someone who's been in the industry for 40 years and still feels that passionate about what she does and who she serves and how she serves. And as you're building your business, exactly what Bobbi said, and we talk about this a lot on this show, is define what success is for you. It's not, it might be 6 figures, it might be 7 figures, whatever it is, it has to be something that resonates with you. It has to be something that aligns with the things that bring you joy, because at the end of the day, we do get such a privilege to work with people on their most special day of their life up until that point. And we get to help them forget everything that's going on in their life. And I love that you described it that way, Bobbi. And I hope that, we're going into our 14th year. I feel like I love just hearing you say that. And it's just a reminder that, yes, this is what we it's a privilege to do what we do every single day. And so if you're just starting out and you're in the grind and you're feeling it, just know that Bobbi's been in this industry 40 years and that passion is still there. She's still just as excited every single day to book a new client and to work with a new client. So I hope that you guys hear that. And I love that you've given us just some tips on how to have a sustainable business, Bobbi. It's really been, this has been a breath of fresh air for me.
Thank you.
Just to hear you can hear the passion so thoroughly, so deeply, and just the way that you speak about what you do and how you've built your business. So thank you so much.
And there's Fabble on the other side. I want your listeners and the new entrepreneurs to understand that you might think 2020 has been hard for you, but I'm going to tell you that industry veterans, this threw everybody for a curve.
Yes.
So did it level the playing field, for a lack of a sport term? Does everybody come out differently? I mean, pivot's the second most used word next to COVID, but everybody had to shift. So even if you're a brand new business and you might have had 5 weddings and all of a sudden those 5 weddings are canceled, I don't want you to despair.
Yep.
I had 17 weddings. I had 27 total. We had to move 17 in different states.
Gosh.
But you're honest with your clients and you move them. And you're going to realize how much you really know and what all you know how to do. And I can tell you that it's hard. You worry about the money all the time, guys. I mean, but I don't want you to be in that place of fear. I want you to live in a place of abundance.
Yes.
If you're scared of money, it won't come to you. By the same token, treat money with respect and don't make it the be all end all.
Yep.
But there is Fabble on the other side of all this, and everybody in this industry is going to have to adjust and continue adjusting. 2021 is not going to be the same. I don't think we're going to be back till 2023, but guess what? Look at all we've learned and what we know how to do. And if you serve your clients and you reach out to your clients and you're open from the front going, hey, I think we could try this or I can try that. I'm going to tell you 40 years doesn't make me any smarter in figuring out what to do now. It's just listening, coming from a place with your heart. And you can be passionate about this and continue to stay, but know that there's Fabble over there. There's going to be roadblocks along the way. But when you believe in what you're doing and you know you've done your best and you leave it on the table and you leave it at the wedding, you're going to get through the COVID season. You're going to get through the next season. Just continue to believe in yourself. And every day that you get to do this is a blessing. Share your blessings and share your talents, because that's the truest form of, that's the rent we pay when we're here on this earth, is the service. That's what we're doing. And you'll put money in the bank.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But always have that purpose. And that purpose is to know that you're giving everything you have to make deliverable moments and experience for your clients. And that will have you, along with your vendors and your partnerships, a sustainable career. There's Fabble on the other side. Everybody listen. It doesn't matter if you're 1 year or 40 years. Fabble's coming.
Yeah.
Be ready for it. Set up for it. Don't fear it. Just figure out the ways that you're going to work your business for yourself that works for you and your family.
Yep.
Just like Brandee said. Nobody else defines who you are. Those 9 squares don't define who you are. You.
Nope.
As long as you're happy and you have personal time and you have business time, you're successful. And every time somebody calls you on the phone, consider yourself successful, because when they keep calling you, you're doing something right.
I love that so much. Bobbi, you're such a blessing to the wedding industry. Thank you for sharing so much of your education always and for today. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
Pretty simple. You can find me at BobbiBrinkmanPhotography.com, and that's Bobbi Brinkman Photography, Instagram and Facebook. That's Bobbi with an I, Bobbi. And then for coaching and education, I shifted it up a little bit. I need to take some more Brandee classes to learn a little bit more. But believe it or not, there's already somebody with my name. So it's Bobbi, Bobbi.Brinkman. And that's where I share some educational things. And my podcast is called the Be Fabble Podcast. So find us any of those places, Instagram, Facebook. We love to have you follow along. And I'm just here cheering on business industries, creatives. My greatest joy, aside from being a photographer, is cheering on creatives to be fabble, and to be more fabble than they already are. So I believe in those two, marrying them together. And that keeps me busy. And they both fill my heart. You know, I love to watch others succeed by their own definition, as we've said several times, but I want people to know that they can have a career in this industry, and that as creatives, you can be passionate, you can be creative, profitable. Find your purpose, follow your passion, and you will be profitable.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Bobbi.
Thank you.
Love chatting with you.
Thank you. Awesome. Make sure you follow Brandee too, because she's got some great tips. I'm getting that class. You're going to see me on Reels in 2021.
That's
all
right.
because of Brandee. There you go.
That's
all
right.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Brandee.